Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Projecting Your Own Reality. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then also you can follow us on Instagram at Projecting Your Own Reality. Today we have one of Angel's friends, Boomers, on with us.
Yeah, so Boomer, a good friend that keeps us motivated, and he shows us the better version of ourselves we can be, and we enjoyed it so well, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well.
We are controlling. We are controlling. We are controlling transmission.
Boomer through my friend John, and it was in Labor Day weekend, and Boomer was doing a cycling class, and my friend John was like, "Oh, dude, you should come over and check it out. It's pretty awesome." I'm like, never done cycling ever, so I was kind of nervous. I was like, and I went to the cycle barn, and me and my wife were there, and we tried it out, and then John introduced the Boomer, and then after Boomer, I started know Boomer through his story and kind of things like that. We connected really well, and then we just we keep in touch. And then Boomer, I know Jay because my friend Hugo invited us to an art gallery. So I think Hugo is one of the artists for like May United. That so he's like, hey, we're having a gallery show, and we went there, and then I started talking to Jay. Jay was like in the front window of the gallery, kind of painting, just painting there. He was like painting there. So I was like, started talking and picking his brain. I'm like, dude, where are you from? Like, what brought you here? And he has a cool story too. So I thought we can get to know each other of like, who we are, and we just stay connected. He does awesome art. I don't know if you.
Yeah, no, I've been looking at his stuff. It's cool. It's cool.
Thank you.
It's unique. I like it.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, right now I've just been trying to get so much of it done. Like I feel like I'm always like in the middle of projects, but I'm finally like finishing a bunch at once, and it feels nice to actually look at complete work.
No, I get it. It's like you got 97 threads, right? And none of them are linking up, but then they start to all intertwine, and it's a nice feeling, right? Because until that happens, you're like the whole world's spinning around you, and you're like, man, I got so much going on.
Always.
We just gotta grab it and try to bring it back. We can bring it back to one thing at a time, because then you don't get anything done, man.
No, that's exactly right. My goodness.
Yeah. So, and then after I met Jay, time went on, and we're like, dude, like, and at the time, I think like a month ago, no, like 2-3 months ago, I was like, dude, I want to start a podcast. Just like randomly, I started thinking it, I want to start a podcast, and then Jay, I think you were having the same kind of like thought, and you were just like
no, I've been thinking about it at least since like the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And then somehow I think Jay brought it up. He's like, hey man, I've been trying to start a podcast. I don't know how we got into it. And next thing you know, it's like, look, let's do let's just see how it goes like the week after. And then next thing you know, we're like, okay, maybe we should have guests, talk to them to get to know them, and kind of experience like their side and their experiences, and kind of their own energy, of like what they bring out to like out there, because everyone does different things, and it's pretty cool to. I'm always interested in like people, so I like what people do. So I was like, oh dude, let's last week we had Hugo, and then like this, I'm like, let me contact Boomer, see if he's down, and and then there.
Definitely. I love it, and I think it's great because the more that you learn about people and the way that they approach life, the more you can take what you need, right? You don't need to take it all, but you can take little aspects of it and put it in your toolbox and just better your life, right? So why not take whatever you can get from the universe, right? So that's what these conversations are for,
Yeah, that's right. So we can, like I think like the more you look out there in the universe, like the more like-minded people you're gonna find. And I think that's how like so far, like Hugo, Jay, and then Boomer, I think somehow the universe just keeps happening this. I don't know, So it's like we want something that's out there, but obviously like the like-minded individuals that want something out there somehow get together. So I think this is gonna be an awesome opportunity to kind of get to know like ourselves, and and your story, Boomer, being like, I read the article of your story and how life changing that was. I mean, you probably want to go into it like that. I kind of sent some articles to Jay, but if you want to just talk about like in the beginning, what was happening, and how you got into in the beginning, like how did you get to yourself in on the situation you were in and out? And when I say the situation, you kind of can go into it and explaining like what is that situation.
Yeah, definitely. I got into the I was kind of thrust into the situation that I was in. I was 15 years old, and my mom but was sick and paralyzed, and I found her when she was paralyzed. And it turned out that she had had cancer for a long time, and everybody knew it but me, and I was the one who found her. So then, I took care of her for the last 6 months of her life with my siblings, and then she passed away. And then I really started to lose myself. The person that I loved the most, my best friend, had lied to me, and how could she do that? And I started drinking at 16, weekends and stuff like that. But even from the beginning, I was a blackout drinker. I did not know how to stop. I would just start and go. And that's really when I lost myself. And addiction's a progressive disease. So it went from alcohol to marijuana to ecstasy to eventually opiates. And then, before I knew it, I was a heroin addict. And I started doing heroin when I was about 23 years old. And that was about a 6-year run. I don't need to go into all the gory details and all that.
Right. So,
But,
like, is that what got you to it? Like what you saw, like your mom go through that, and you just wanted to kind of like get that energy out somehow?
yeah.
Or that.
Yeah, my mom was my best friend, and my dad was an amazing person, and I think the world of him. But he did not know how to show love and affection. So after my mom passed away, I searched for love in all the wrong ways, in relationships and things like that, codependency, and then the alcohol and the drugs. And basically, that allowed me to mask and hide the feelings and the darkness that I was feeling and the trauma from my mom, and not being able to get the love and affection from other places that I needed. I could just numb all of that with the drugs and the alcohol. So it was really, my need for love and attention, and affection that I was lacking, that I believe is really the start of it.
Right. And did you notice after a while, like, because obviously in the beginning, like me and Jay were talking about like last week about like addiction, about like you can even get addicted to bad habits, as far as the energy that you get out there, you kind of just become addicted to that. Did you find yourself in the beginning that you were just like, I'll start off with this, and like, did you know I mean, obviously I don't know if you knew like where you were getting yourself into, or you were just like, what, screw it, I'm just gonna do this.
I had no idea. I had no idea. I wish I did, because I look back now and I should have. All the signs were there. Even when I was 8 years old, I could sit down and I could drink a 12-pack of diet soda, right? So I was an addict. I just didn't know what it was. But no, I had no idea really until it was too late. And that's the problem, is a lot of times you don't know until it's too late. And that was me.
Right. And do you have anything, Jay?
No, I was gonna say, so when did you have that moment then, when you finally like started pulling yourself back up?
Well, I had been in jail, and I had done, my family had an intervention and all these things, and none of that worked. And then it was January 21st of 2017. I had just given up my Cocker Spaniel, my best friend that day. I gave him to a shelter because I was homeless, and I just knew he needed a better life. Him and I had just spent all night outside together in the cold. It was snowing in December. And then I gave him up, and then that day I went into a restroom at a CVS, and I ended up overdosing and falling out. And then I came to like 45 minutes later with the workers waking me up, and I ran. And that was the last time that I used. And that was really the moment of clarity because, January 23rd is technically my clean date. And that's also my mom's birthday. So, to me, that's just a sign, right? Like all these years, she was my biggest resentment. And then all of a sudden, at my moment, at my rock bottom, at my time when I had no one, she was there, And, that was my moment of clarity right there. I can only kill myself for so long, before that's it. So,
Yeah.
So as you were like coming back up, could you start to see like were you able to see that positive future for yourself? Like to feel like, okay, there's got to be this opposite end, or were you kind of just like, I'm just gonna keep going?
uh, no, not at all. As I was, no, not at all. At least not for the first, gosh, 30, 60 days. It was some of the hardest times. I remember picking up my phone and typing the text messages to my dealer to pick up, and then just setting it down. And, thank God that I had that willpower. But, I know that I didn't see any hope. It not at first. It took some time. It took seeing people be clean, that had 35 years clean, had 40 years clean, for me to be like, you know what, I could do this too. This is real. This isn't make believe. It's not just on TV.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's interesting because I think that like sometimes writing things out and not sending it, like even like if you're like angry at someone or whatever, just kind of writing the words out, but then like just putting it down and letting it alone. Sometimes it just like gives you that extra little like boost of confidence. Like, okay, it's out there, but like I didn't send it to like do anything, so it's like it's like that good sense of control, but at least a way to get it out.
yeah, I I I call that 5 a.m. thoughts, because I'm always up at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning with my wheels turning, and I type notes in my iPhone, and then I set them down and I never read them again until
Yeah.
I might think that I had something, because those are just whatever I need to vent, whatever I wake up on my mind. So I mean, I do that, but that's not something that I really look at all the time. It's more just
Right.
stream of conscious and go. But that is a great method.
So what about like you mentioned your mom. So what about your mom that was like that made you just push, like, because I know because Jay, when we talked about your kind of situation where you hit rock bottom, that's when he said that. I'm like, oh, okay, like, I know, Jay, do you want to talk about something of what got you out of there and like kind of give you that energy that you needed, and then of how to just push yourself along? Because obviously, I mean, I don't know how that feels like as far as being addicted to anything like that. But obviously you had a driving force, and you said your mom, but what about like can you describe a little more of what kind of your mom drove that energy behind you?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I would say that my mom would be my guardian angel there, but my driving force behind it is really my belief in my love in myself, I think, because none of these things would be possible if I didn't believe in myself, or I didn't love myself, or if I wasn't honest with myself, if I didn't have faith in myself. And I couldn't make it or give any of those things to other people if I didn't have those things. But honestly, it was finding like-minded people that was my driving force, because when I couldn't do those things for myself, there was people that did that for me. When I still cannot do that for myself at times, I call people that are there to love me and believe in me when I can't, because those are my driving force. So it's definitely like-minded people, whether it's from 12-step fellowships or fitness people or just just any kind of organization. It's just like-minded people. That's the driving force, is human connection.
Yeah. And then so like, Jay, do you want to explain of what kind of happened when you kind of changed your life around,
No, I think that like for me, I think I just hit this point where like I was just really like a negative kind of person. I was just always kind of down. Like I would try to lift myself up, and it was just a crazy like overall feeling at times. But I think at one point I just started saying like there has to be another side to this feeling. Like there has to be like if this is what this feels like, there's got to be like the opposite end, like the better end, and like it's kind of like Boomer was saying, like I found like a lot of just like self-love and confidence in myself that I just hadn't really been paying attention to. And then it was just kind of like motivating myself to like keep going and keep going. And not that like I don't want to return home and like visit, but it was like I didn't like because I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I was like I don't want to like stop pursuing my art career. Like I don't want to let these events like stop me from pursuing what I even came out here for. So it's like crazy as I like push myself to do it all, and I like started getting all this good momentum. This like year is like it like put everything to this screeching halt, but at the same time like it allowed for a lot of like self-reflection and just understanding of like more really how the mind works and how it gets people out of situations and how it helps you when you can really start to understand yourself more and start to see that positive future for yourself. You kind of start to feel that more rather than like the past experiences. And when something comes up that reminds you of the past, you kind of can bounce away from those feelings faster. And I just kept building that momentum up to realize like my past isn't going to disappear. It doesn't need to. I don't have to be ashamed of it. It's there, but at the same time, I don't have to live there. I can live in that future that like you start building for yourself.
I love it. And let me just I'm pulling up my notes on my phone because you said that and I was thinking earlier and I said I had this thought in my head and it relates to what you just said and I said forget your past by not relying on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forget your past by not relying on it because to piggyback off that, there's so many people that, are like, oh, I graduated from Harvard and I did this. Okay, well, yeah, you graduated from Harvard in 2006. What did you do for yourself today? You know what I mean?
Right.
What you did 14 years ago doesn't matter. What did you do for yourself today to make yourself the best person you can be tomorrow? Right? And I think that what you said right there is whether you have a good past or a terrible past. So many people rely on their past, whether negatively or positively. So many people are like, oh, I'm a felon. I could never do this. No, you can do whatever you want to do because tomorrow you can be whatever you want to be. Right?
Right.
Nothing can stop you. And that's exactly what you're saying right there. You took COVID and you didn't let it stop you. You took COVID and you're like me, right?
True.
And you guys created this podcast. I took COVID and it was just a moment in time for the world to stop. I had nothing to do, right? I had nothing to do but focus on myself for 3 months.
Yeah.
So now all these other aspects are gone. So now that I don't have these other things to worry about and you can just work on yourself mentally and spiritually, it's infinite possibilities. So you make yourself
Oh
a
yeah.
full-time job and an investment like you just did. And now look at the doors opening. So for
Right.
people that didn't do that during COVID and just, sat around scared for their life the whole time, I'm just like, you missed a golden opportunity. When are you
Yeah. I
ever
mean,
going to get this again?
it definitely set a lot of people in panic, which wasn't helpful for a lot of reasons. And it's a hard time, and people have anxieties. I understand, but it just wasn't helpful the way all of it was presented because it didn't really give people that peace of mind to just like take it easy. Everyone felt that it's almost like again, it's like everyone was so addicted to their normal. Well, I have to go to work and I have to do this
Right.
and then I have to do that they couldn't really break away from the routine without like getting anxious and that's the problem is like I was saying this to Angel the other day when we were just talking, like even just your emotional state can become addicting, and people don't even realize it. Like you get addicted to like feeling negative, you get addicted to being like a victim, you just get addicted to kind of becoming this like negative thing, and then that's what's hard, like when you start to better yourself and then think of what do you say for advice to somebody because what it's been like in those situations sometimes too, and it's like you realize like someone like the only thing we can really do is maybe just keep delivering the message, because I know for me, I've had a message delivered like several times, and then like finally one day it clicks. So it's like if all we're here to do is just keep telling that same person the same thing over and over again, like whatever, I'll say it to them again, but I don't do it with I don't do it with the expectation of like, oh, well, I'm going to change this person. I'm like, no, I'm probably going to tell this person the same thing that like 10 other people told them, but that's all we're here to do, right? Like we just keep giving this person the message, because one day it will click. That's the hope. One day it will click. It doesn't have to come from me. It just has to do it.
Wear that 45 out.
and I totally agree with what the Boomer was saying, is like the opportunity that, and Jay, another point that you were saying is that we were so dependent on our schedule that once they got rid of that, then we didn't know what to do. And no imagination, because we were so robotic, like to what we were used to. And then obviously you throw a snowball in there, you're like, oh man, start tumbling, and then you start stressing. Then you're like trying to find your energy to somewhere. And when you stress out and you find people around you, you obviously just gonna unleash your energy around them. Instead of saying, okay, well, how can I get that energy and put it back into myself and kind of come up with something different? Okay, well, I can't work, right? Well, then what can I do at home? Okay, well, I got a computer, I got a phone, I can Skype, I can talk to people. Like, let's do a podcast, Or,
that's right.
But not even, not even all that too. I think just giving yourself the moment to take a break. Some people just need that break. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been okay to not start a podcast too. Just like being able to tell yourself, like, you know what, like things are different, but I don't have to like panic. I don't have to like. Even if it is just someone who maybe they really do like their job, so they're just going to wait it out, that's cool too, It's like, but just let that person find that, okay, I just get like a couple weeks of vacation, just took it easy, and then bounce back. But some people just couldn't do, like, everyone's panic was that like the whole money in the world was going to be gone, and no one was going to have a place to live. It was like everyone went to like the most dramatic thing, and it's like, calm down for a second. Like, we don't know what's happening.
I know. Everyone was in panic, and I was like, my whole life was panic and chaos, right? You're telling me that I can't leave the house and you're going to pay me? This is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome. This is great. But no, but I do get it, because I am high risk. So like for me, I didn't leave, until I went on my trip to visit my son in Virginia. I did not leave the house. I was home. But you can't it's about perspective, right? At the end of the day, it's about perspective. If you feed into the panic and that's the way you view it, then how are you going to live your life positively? You're just going to be negative, and that's no way to live your life, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think it like having like a panicked internal world is just going to create more panic in the external world. And that's the whole thing, is just even understanding more of how your thoughts like do project like into that real world. Like, we all kind of see the same things, but we all experience them differently based on like our perceptions, and I think the more we're able to kind of come to that internal peace together, like that's how it all starts to like gradually change in like the rest of the world.
So it's like they say, it's like showing, like, for what we're doing, be an example of what you can be doing. So like if other people catches if they get, let's say for some reason, our podcast comes across like someone random, right? And they're like, oh, like whatever they were talking about in that podcast, it made me do this, like something. And I think that's the driving force that we want to kind of like attract. It's like, okay, well, if it gets to them, great, but this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing at this time in our lives. And if it gets to you and get to change that mindset, awesome, And obviously, like, it's not even talking like crap about the people that don't have that mindset, because it takes time or something in their life to kind of say, oh, you know what, this is what I need to do to my life, or something like, heavier. We were just talking about, like, oh my God, like for me, I know it was like one time in my life, it was the stress that I couldn't do it, that I was just stressing so much. Like, what can I do about it to just get, this problem solved? And I'm like, well, I can't take it anymore. I got to do something about it. I can't just sit around and do nothing, So I was like, what do I want to do in my life? What do I want to pursue? Am I happy with what I'm doing? And, I mentioned over and over, it's like, if I didn't open something that I enjoy, like, graphic designing and like, doing shirts, doing like something with a meaning, a brand right behind it, then I would still be sitting in the couch just complaining about it this whole time. And what time keeps going by. And then next thing you know, I'm like, 60, 70. And next thing you know, I'm in my deathbed and I'm like, I wish I did this and regret it. Right. So that's what I'm trying to not do by doing and inspiring like people like that. Hey, like if I do some energy, if I put some energy out there to give you energy, awesome. That's how it should be. I mean, we want to start with, ourselves, put it out there to the community, and if it enlightens the community, then it's going to spread,
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's what you have to do. You put out good vibes or whatever vibes out to the universe, and you hope like-minded people find them. And I think it's so great that we're doing this now, and that that you guys are saying some of the things that you're saying, because I'm getting ready to do my podcast too coming up, which is I'm going to start in August, and it's kind of like a audio show. It's not really your normal type of podcast. It's going to be a little different, but it's basically talking about what you're talking about, which is how can you change your life or level up your recovery by doing small actions to achieve these large goals, right? Because setting a goal like I want to start a graphic design company is great. And that's a huge goal. But for some people, saying that to begin with, they're never going to get there because it's daunting, right? So why don't we learn something first? Hey, I know nothing about technology. I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to learn how to turn on a computer. Let's start there. Or I'm going to wake up and I'm going to at least turn on my computer and look at it and think about learning something. And then tomorrow I'll learn something. So now you're feeling accomplished. And then all of a sudden you have a graphic design company, or have a brand or have whatever. But it's these small actions that get you there. And that's exactly like what you're saying, right? To get here, you have to start somewhere. To run, you have to walk, It's the same thing.
No, yeah. I think small goals are super important because it just helps you get down like a checklist of things. Like even like today, I was just like, I got home from work and I was just looking around my apartment and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna clean. Like I'm just gonna, get all this done, and it feels good. Like you're in control of it. You have the time to do it, and then it's like, and then to like Angel's point, as opposed to just like sitting on the couch thinking about getting it done, it's like you're just getting it done. And to be to the point too of like if you are just sitting on the couch thinking about getting something done, you're actually exhausting your body out because your mind doesn't really know the difference between your thoughts and your actions. Really, it just kind of knows that there's stuff going on, and then all of a sudden you've overthought, and now you don't even want to get up to clean because you thought about it too much. So in your mind, you've done it 10 times, so it's tired of cleaning. So you can't get your physical body up to actually do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. It's like, but like the greatest thing that I feel, it's like it's setting those little goals that it just hits that good energy, and that good energy just keeps you going over and over. And when you find something that you really enjoy, when you find someone across that, I mean, I learned this like within a year. It's like when you do something that you enjoy, you kind of come across and you want to know what other people enjoy. And it's a little difficult to kind of understand because before then I was just like, well, yeah, everyone's different. Yeah, but what does it really mean to every individual? And, you really didn't have that interest to kind of know more about other people because you were just like figuring it out. But once you come into, because I think, Jay, I talked to you about like the other day about the art, like selling art, and I'm saying, oh, well, they just want like they just want to buy, like they just want your money, or kind of thoughts like that, like thoughts that would sound crazy like then, but now it's like, okay, well, now I know why they want to go this route in their past is because they really enjoy it, and I see that because that's what their life led. Control. If you had control or just your energy to let you there, it's your mind saw something and you just followed it and you just continued to, plant little goals until, and then just keep going with it. And that good feeling and energy is just, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to explain, but it's a good feeling to know someone else is doing well.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's definitely good. I mean, just knowing, just seeing anyone progress, and seeing anyone kind of coming through stuff. Like, I have a friend that I met back in like November, and we were both kind of going through the same situation. And it's been really interesting because I think we just both watched each other like climb out of like a really dark place at the same time. Like, it was just, so it's like, it's nice to like be able to see your positivity bouncing off somebody, and then it's bouncing kind of back to you. Because, like, I'm sure you guys have been in positions too where you try to be positive to someone to bring them up, but they're just bouncing like the negativity back, so it makes it harder. So when you find those people to bounce the positivity back and forth, it just piles up, like a snowball rolling down a hill. It's just like, that's how you want it to go. Because it's like, it's tough, sometimes when you're getting that pushback, and you can feel it, and even me, like, I know I've been that person giving the pushback too, so you kind of know where people are at too as you kind of come up from it. But yeah, just being able to bounce that positivity off of other people while they're coming up is just, it's hard to describe, but it's just really nice.
There's nothing like it, right? I mean, that's what we all look for, right? That's why we search for people to vibe off of and find that cheese. That's what we call it in recovery, the cheese. Find the cheese that we're looking for. So, but I mean, look at us here, right? We had no idea. We didn't plan what we were going to come in and talk about, and we're able to talk seamlessly, right?
Yeah, right.
And this is the first time I've ever spoken with Jay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Waiting for you to come on here. That's it. So,
Yeah.
so that's the point, and that's part of the problem with COVID too, though, right? Is that we all thrive on human connection, and now this has taken it away from us, right?
Yeah.
So now, how do we handle that? How do we respond to that? And that's the real problem with COVID. It's not so much the panic of the disease; it's the panic of these people not being able to sit alone with themselves and their feelings. Right? That's the real.
I mean, I work in retail, and I can tell that there's just people in there because they really, like, they're just happy that somewhere is open. Like, I see this. I feel like there's a couple people that I'm starting to realize I feel like I see them every single day, and it's not like, it's not like a bad thing. It's just, I get it. Like, they don't want to be at home sitting there doing nothing. So it's at least like kind of like a comfort. So I just treat them nice. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of understand what they could be going through and just talk to them normally, you know what I mean? Like, I don't make anyone feel rushed or like they shouldn't be there. So
yeah, and I feel like with the COVID lockdowns and stuff, once they, everything, I don't know if they're gonna come out with vaccine or is everyone's gonna herd immunity, and then everyone's gonna be able to go out there.
Who knows?
People are gonna, I know, right? Exactly. So I'm just guessing right now, and just by going out there, some people are gonna be so happy, because they're going to be able to see people again. They're going to be able to say, oh my God, like, I haven't seen you in ages, how, like, that's the thing, that's the positive of it, in regards of whatever else is going on. And that's, is just going to bring some communities together, I feel.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's definitely the positive way to hopefully have it come out.
I mean, obviously, of what, like, all the chaos stuff and everything that's going on, or like, losing houses, being able to pay rent. I mean, it's gonna be a stressful situation, but for the people that, are hanging in there and they're like, oh my God, I can't wait to see my friend face to face, because you can feel it. Like, yeah, we're having conversation here between us three, but once you're like sitting down with like someone in front of you and talking, it's like you can feel their energy. It's a totally different, like, I think you can even have a totally different vibe in that area, like there. So some are just going to take full advantage of it, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because it's the thing that they're lacking, right? And that's the thing is, we have this pandemic going on right now with COVID, but the thing that people aren't talking about is all the people overdosing during this as well, because they're locked down at home. And the addiction is isolation and the inability to form long-lasting relationships. So when you do tell people that are struggling and don't have a strong recovery, that they can't have this human connection, that they can't go to their 12-step meetings that they thrive on with that human connection that they need to lift them up, they got one place to go, and that is really, the thing that people aren't talking about right now that they need to be talking about.
You think it would have been better for them to keep AA open than that?
I mean, I don't necessarily, I don't know, I don't know because it.
But for those people, though, I mean, I would assume that that's something to live for. I don't know. What do you think?
I've heard that there was some. I mean, and of course, like you were even saying, it's different, when you're not in the same room with people. But I heard that there was like Zoom conferences and stuff being held. Like I don't think they just like drop. But again, does everyone have access to it? You know what I mean? Like, was it provided for if they couldn't? So it does. It just like it is one of those things that like I can see, or it just makes that come up harder. Whereas like some people may thrive in that extra part where they're like, oh man, all right, what, I'm gonna push even harder. But then I know what it's like too to feel like you're just constantly being defeated, and then you get to that point where you're like, what am I gonna keep going forward for? And that's where like for me, like I want to be able to help people get to that next step where like, not that like obviously these groups are important, but I think being able to then graduate from that to not rely even on the group is even more helpful, because I even found myself relying on the people around me too much. And then when you are kind of put back to yourself, you have to really realize like ultimately we are responsible for ourselves, so we have to find that motivation in ourselves, to find that, that push, that drive, but it's like, but we like kind of back to what you were saying, it's still that step of like, you got to turn the computer on one day and you got to do it in the next thing, so it's like, it's just that over time build to be able, but you're in like the middle of this, it's a tough thing to just lose, because if you have people you're constantly able to talk to once a week and then they're kind of gone, then you're back kind of into your own responsibility. And once those past thoughts kick back in, well, what do I do with my time? Then you only have your past to think about if you haven't really like foreseen this future for yourself yet. So it's just that tough moment. So I can feel for a lot, like I feel for too many situations. That's why I'm just like, I'm focusing on where I can focus.
Yeah. That's true.
I feel for those situations too, like I can just feel it right now when you describe it, when I talk about it. It's just, so if you're out there right now and you're struggling and you're listening to this, there is hope, right? That's all you need to know, right? There is hope. Just keep listening and keep tuning in and keep turning that computer on. All right, that's all you got to
do. keep things going. That's right. True. And what do you think that, like from your experience, Boomer, what are some things that actually helped you get through, your path from where you were to you at now?
Well, at the very beginning, I will say that it very much was building a foundation through the 12-step fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. That is 100% where I learned to love myself, where I learned to believe in myself. Now, I think it was a blend between the step work and the people that I met, right? The like-minded people that I met. I think that it was a blend of all that really helped in the service work and learning how to be accountable. But then when I moved out, that was back in Virginia. But then when I moved out here to California, I really evolved in my recovery and, evolved from being just the basis of I need the 12-step fellowship, I need to go to meetings, because I found like-minded people that were doing what I wanted to do, and I surrounded myself with them. Right. And then I just started working on myself, and I took the tools that I learned in the 12-step fellowship and I added my own tools in, and I found what worked for me. And I think that by doing that, right, and by stepping out of the 12-step fellowship and making that my primary recovery resource, and by kind of branching out into my own thing, that set me up more for success during this COVID lockdown than if I was just relying on meetings, because I didn't have to rely on that human connection. I knew what to do. I knew how to sit with myself and how to love myself. Now, I learned how to do that from the 12 steps. But again, I've been through that. I'm at a different place than somebody that might be in their early first, 30, 90 days. And for them in this point, they don't have the tools. So they are in a completely different place, and it's for them that the Zoom meetings that they had become important. But how many people on the street do you know have access to Zoom, that might actually need that meeting? Not enough people.
Right.
Not enough people, unfortunately. I didn't even know what Zoom was back when I was using. I can tell you that right now.
I feel like, honestly, I don't feel like anyone knew what Zoom was till March.
Yeah, I know,
I don't
right?
think anyone knew what Zoom was, and then March was like, oh, well,
used it in
Zoom,
high school,
everything's Zoom.
And that's it. I used it in high school, and that's how I remember. I thought it died, and then it came back out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
We're bringing MySpace back.
Right.
And
I was actually curious. Oh, sorry.
No, I was curious too, but go ahead.
No, I was curious to know if you had any, if there was any like books that you read, or like if you had any like motivational kind of speakers that you listened to while you were like, building your own process.
I don't really have motivational speakers that I listen to. One thing that I did a lot of is I go into meetings and I would just sit and I would listen, right? And that's all I needed to do was just listen, because you'd hear people with 30 minutes clean, just pouring their hearts out, or you'd hear people with years clean, decades clean, giving you some real wisdom, and then you just take it all and you just blend it, and that's what I need to hear, because I don't want to hear people speaking, something that they've rehearsed and said 1,000 times. That's what I think of when I think of motivational speakers. They travel the world and they do the same thing all the time. I want to hear somebody that's just telling it like it is. So that is, as far as motivational speakers, it's just, people in recovery. It's just human beings. That's what I listen to. And books, I'll just tell anybody, especially if you're in recovery, tune in, check out Living Sober. And there's a title in it called Finding Your Own Way, and read that section, because when I read that section is when my recovery changed, and I decided that I could branch out and find my own way. So, that's one section to really, and then, I listen to Russell Brand as well, right? Because he has his viewpoint on recovery is just like great, right? If you like the 12 steps and you want to hear a different perspective that is still the 12 steps, listen to him, because he's great.
I follow him on Instagram. It's pretty awesome. I think he has to say it's pretty good. You mentioned the 12-step program. So if you can just give some sample of like, what did you take from the 12-step program, and what did you kind of alternate to do it for yourself? Kind of how did you take, let's say, a guideline and then shift it to yourself?
Yeah.
In your own way.
So in the 12 steps, you admit that you're powerless over your addiction. You turn your life over. Those are things that I do every day. I don't plan anything, right? I focus on today, and I let the universe bring me what it's going to bring me. And I learned through the 12 steps as well that I am going to respond to that, right? I'm not going to react. I'm going to sit on my hands, and then I'm going to give a thoughtful response instead of a reaction. But really, I learned, I brought so much of the 12 steps over that I can't really tell you what I would blend in, because I just learned so much. But what I would say is different, that you don't need the 12 steps, is it's simple, right? You just wake up and you choose every day. You have two choices. You can choose to be your hero, or you can choose to be your enemy, right? Because you have both those people sitting inside you, and I have both those people inside me every day. I choose to be my hero, but I know that the second I forget that my enemy's right here, I'm done, right? So the answer is really simple, right? You just have to wake up and you have to choose to do it. Now, some days that choice is harder than others, right? I've got 3.5 years clean right now, and I can say that every day I wake up and I decide that I'm going to be clean, right? I don't wake up and and not think about it. I still very much think and know that I'm an addict, and I will always think and know that. And the second that I don't, I'm going to start using again. So really, the main thing that I learned is that you just can't live in the recovery bubble. You have to live in the real world. You can't go to 7-Eleven and not see beer, right? You can't go out to eat and not have a waitress ask if you want something to drink, right? So you have to live in the real world and be comfortable, but also be okay with yourself to tell people, hey, you know what? I'm feeling like I might want that drink today. So can you just keep an eye out on me? And you have to put yourself with people that you trust, right? Now, not everybody has that, unfortunately, and that's where the 12-step process does come in, and that's where you find people that are like-minded when you don't know where to find people that are like-minded. That's what that's there for,
Yeah. No,
And I'm not bashing the 12 steps,
Oh,
because
no,
I
no,
love
no,
it, and
no,
I just don't
you-
want anyone from the
we
12
all
steps
find
to
our
take
own.
that,
No, we all
but
find our own ways. I mean, I had somebody at the beginning of last year like give me like a book to read and stuff, and I grew from that quicker than I think he did. Like I kind of read it, I understood it, and then I kind of moved on to like what was next. And that's next for me. Like, and because my whole thing is like I'm kind of really into this discovering how the mind works and how the mind kind of controls your external world and everything. So that's why like for me it's even helpful to hear like stories like yours, because sometimes I move very quickly, so I have to remind myself to slow back down, to remember like some people do have to like turn the computer on one day and then let it do the next thing, because I move very quick. Like I feel like I'm always like learning and then growing and then learning and then growing. But I'm even right now trying to learn how to like just stay still for like a minute, because I think I even just need to. But yeah, I mean, like it is like you wake up and you just kind of you can't replay any bad incidents. Like you just have to like choose to say like I'm going to attack everything in a positive way. Like if someone says something to me that I don't like, I'm not going to react to it. It's like you said, you're going to like take that moment and then respond to it, kind of thing. Like you just start living differently. You want better for yourself, but that the world isn't going to treat you better. It's going to always treat you the same. So you have to start to treat yourself better, take care of yourself more, do things more for yourself. And then you'll start to feel like the world's taking care of you better, like things just start happening. Like it's amazing too. Like just the small little things, like as you start taking care of yourself, those little like rewards like from the universe just start popping up, or just like the idea you had that you didn't think was going to come to life is all of a sudden coming to life, and you're just like, oh, I guess that's how it works. All right, we
Right.
keep doing that.
I 2.5 years ago, my sister, when I moved here to California from Virginia, I moved here with 38 pounds in a bag and $275 in my wallet. And I had no idea what I was doing or where I was going. I just knew I was going to San Clemente, California. That's all I knew. And now look, it's 3 years ago, I was in jail, today, and now I'm here talking to you, and life's completely different. But back then, I never would have thought that, and I didn't give up, right? That's exactly it. I just kept moving forward, like you're saying. And in recovery, we say, don't give up before the miracle happens, and that's it.
Important, yeah.
That's exactly it. You just like when the light is the dimmest and you think that there is no hope, there's the most hope. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because the most light has the opportunity to come back into that darkness. And that's just what you have to tell yourself. And trust me, I know. I've been.
No, I think it's great.
know?
No, I think sometimes when you're making like any kind of breakthrough, there's always this moment that like kind of challenges you to be like, are you sure this is where it's almost like sometimes it can be like, this is what it's going to cost to move forward. Are you sure you can like part from this or do it? And you have to like break away from old routines, break away from old friends, break away from just all your bad habits. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing. Some people don't, and then once people reach that point, some people they're like, oh, I can't give that up. I can't get let go of that incident that happened to me, 50 years ago. Like, I have to hold on to that's who I am, like, but it gets just like you said, kind of a little bit darker before it gets real bright again. And you have to trust that it's just strengthening you, and that's it, because it's like, it's not going to kill you. It can't, if you've come this far, it's not going to, and I think that's like, when you watch any movie, you know what I mean? Like, the hero's journey is always like, or even when you're playing like a video game, you know what I mean? Like, you can't beat it until you beat like the hardest boss, but like, you're going to do it. It's the only way to win.
and I truly feel that those ifs can hold you back so much. Like, the unknown, the not knowing. The thing is that after you have so much experience of just dipping your toes into something, it turns to something else. And then you want, like, oh, okay, well, wow, like, this turned out to be great. So maybe I should do more things that are unknown that I like doing. And then that opens up another path. And then surely enough, like, you kind of start getting visions of what your future is going to be shaped like. And then you kind of start to attracting those kind of, that future thought, You're like, oh, okay, well, now I kind of see how this is working. So if I keep doing the work behind it and trying to change that mindset and getting rid of the what if, then if I keep doing it and I can visualize like how my future might look like, and I'm seeing it over and over to like one day after the next, then why not keep doing through that? And it's such an amazing feeling when you find out that, oh, like, all I had to do was like get up from my couch and do it. Really? like
yeah.
To where one thing or another, like, I had to talk to one person, or another next person. The thing is that I feel, I don't know, like, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure I thought of this myself. It's like, how do people think working on yourself? Like, why do people think working on yourself is selfish? Because I think that stops a lot of people. That stops a lot of people from actually not being selfish. I feel like, does that kind of make sense to you guys?
Yeah, no, honestly, if you really observe like people growing up, you're like super conditioned to only care about other people. Like, you're super conditioned to, care about looking good, for your parents, or getting good grades in school, which is really just to show off the teacher's skills, which shows off the school district. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not really shown how to care for ourselves. So when you start to take that time, that means that there's something you're not paying attention to. There's something you're not doing. And then people can almost lay like guilt trips on you, or you put guilt trips on yourself. So it's just something that, like, it's really weird. Like, we're just conditioned that way to really just always be caring about other people. Or the thing I feel like you hear a lot when you're going through your own issues is that, like, someone else has it worse. You know what I mean? And it's like, but that's not helpful, so you're not, so you're kind of made to feel like there's no point to take time for yourself. You just move through it. And it's like, but it's super important to take time for yourself,
Yeah, so you guys can say that it could be like just a development thing, or, I mean, because I'm pretty sure I met like older people than me, or like, it's just something about like maybe I don't know. I'm trying to say compare one another. I don't know, like that we're trying to become so similar that for another to just be accepted in a way that we totally forget. Or go ahead.
I think that at the end of the day, we are all our hardest critics, right? So we don't want to look at ourselves and dig deep and try and work on ourselves and grow, right? So we, like you said, we are meant in school and through life to be people pleasers, right? And by pleasing people is where we get gratification. And by feeling those rewards and that praise and all that, hey, we're good. We're doing great. I feel good about myself because people tell me how great I am, right? Well, I hate when people tell me that they're proud of me. And I hate when people tell me all these things because I don't want people to reflect that on me, right? I just want to focus on me and do me. Because like you said, we spend all of our life, pleasing people and all that, but it's really just lip service, or it's kind of, not 100% genuine, because unless you've taken your time to work on yourself, then you're not able to do those things for them truly, right? and people don't want to look at themselves because they don't want to deal with it. They're afraid to look in themselves and see what's really lying inside them, right? Because they might not love themselves like people tell them that they do, or they might not believe in themselves like people tell them that they do. A lot of times the most successful people have the darkest stuff and they don't want to look inside on themselves, and then it's the people like, living every day that are truly the most happy, just working paycheck to paycheck because they don't have anything inside. They're just happy coming home to whatever every day. They don't need the material things, but that you have to be selfish to be selfless, right? And that's the way that it is. You have to be selfish to be selfless. I have to work on me so I can help you, right? And that's what people don't want to do. They want to help other people so I can tell you how great you are, right? But that's not the way that life really works. In my opinion.
No, not to listen. I mean, I feel like I saw this a couple weeks ago, but I can't remember what I was thinking. But I should have wrote it down. But basically, it's just the idea that I think people get this like hero concept in mind too, where they think like they have to save something in order to kind of feel purpose. But it's almost like impossible to save anything before you can save, before you really save yourself. And even then, you're not really saving anything, because when you save yourself, you realize like, so all this is still going to be an individual's choice, no matter how many. That's why these conversations, like, we're not the only one having these conversations. There's books being written that are, beyond these conversations. So, I mean, it's like these things are always happening. And, and it's just a matter of, like I was saying earlier too, of just it's important to keep it up, to keep repeating it, because eventually we learn, eventually we do finally get it, so it's like, I wouldn't want to like not say something to somebody because I feel like they're just going to brush it off, it's almost just more important to say it and just let it go, because it's still just, like I said before, some people have said the same thing to me over and over again, and then finally one day it clicks. So, I mean, it's just, continuing to push that positivity once you feel it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, like, because I think what a lot of things happen now is we start to compare each other a lot, and we always keep thinking, oh, that person's better than me, and then there's something along the way that you automatically put that person in they could be the most worst person ever because they're so perfect, and then you say, oh, I can never be that person. Well, if we start comparing ourselves to others and using that energy to say, well, why don't I try that and see if I like it or not? And if it's for me, that's awesome. Or if I wanted to try, like, Boomer, you're a cyclist instructor. I never instructed any kind of class like that. But let's say, you found someone that always wanted to try it, but I would say, well, Boomer, you look so great out there that I can't really you start comparing yourself to that. What would you tell that person? What would you tell that person if someone's just looking at, maybe I want to be a cycling instructor?
4 years ago, I was 340 pounds and homeless, so I didn't think I'd be doing it either. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I tell them. You never know until you try it, right? That's just the way that it is. Like, you can't compare. You can't try and fit yourself into a mold or into a box for society, for recovery, for marriages, for relationships, for jobs, for anything, right? Nobody is the same. Identical twins aren't the same. You know what I mean? They might look alike, but they think different. You know what I mean? Everybody's different. There is no mold. There is no magic anything. There's nothing, right? Everybody is different. Everybody is individual. If you want to try something, do it, right? That's just that's all there is to it. But don't say I'm going to try it, right? Do it. Because when I say I'm going to try something, I don't ever, and it never ends up happening. Like, oh yeah, I'll try and get to that. Nope, not. Yeah, I'll try and call you back. Nope, 3 years go by. No. You just got to do it. That Mike says, just do it, right? That's it's that simple for life.
Yeah.
You want to get clean, do it, right? Just stop using drugs. I know it sounds simple, but I know it's very hard. It sounds simple, it is hard, but that's all it is, right? Just do it. You want to change your life, Just wake up and do it. Don't complain. Don't post on Facebook about all these things or Instagram. You know what I
But
mean? Wake
Boomer,
up
but
and do it.
Boomer, it's so hard to not to. Well, like,
I know, but it's so
like,
easy. I've thought about doing it for 10 years, so I'm so tired mentally from thinking
yeah,
about it that I can't physically do it. Just like Jay was saying with cleaning, right?
yeah,
We think too much, we don't do, right?
mhm,
That's insanity.
yeah.
Or thought without action is insanity, right? It's that simple.
Yeah, because you constantly keep it in your head and it
Yeah,
drives you crazy. Yeah, like, oh man.
exactly, right. I know when I'm feeling, when my wheels are going, because I'm still very much an addict. As
Mm,
clean as I am, my addict wheels start rolling, and I start pacing around and my wheels start going, but they're manifested in a good way. You know what I mean? It's into fitness or into, starting a business or bettering my life, going back to school, all these things. But, I know, and that's the thing is being self aware. And you just got to do it, right? You can't just pace around and sit around all day. There's only
when, when,
24 hours in a day.
when was that time where you finally got to like, oh man, I'm like kind of aware of what I'm doing? Like, when would you say that? Like, because I mean, obviously, like for me, like it took like after I got married to kind of realize what I had to do in my life, and kind of sparked, say, oh, I have to kind of do something that I enjoy. If not, I'll be this grumpy guy for the rest of my life. But for you, it's like what was the time? Well, not the time, or what kind of lead you, or when were you like, okay, well now I'm aware of what I'm doing, and this is the way I'm gonna do it.
Well, I think really ultimately it was probably last month that it culminated, right? But it really started, I guess, when I was like 18 and I fell in love with theater, and then all these years go by and I moved to California and I fell in love with indoor cycling. I'm in love with recovery. Like, I talk about recovery. I'm adamant about it. I don't care about anonymity. And then I had this idea that I wanted to start this like indoor cycling studio that was also a safe place for recovery and call it Ride Recover Rise and do all these things. And then COVID happened, right? And I came to this realization that maybe doing a brick and mortar place is not the thing to do, right? And I thought about all the people out there that don't have meetings to get to and things like that, like we were talking about earlier. And then I just thought about doing a podcast, or thought about doing something, right, to help my fellow addicts. And then, it really all hit me there because I've done motivational speaking and I've worked with, middle schoolers and high schoolers and colleges. And I love, being motivational in spin classes and seeing people's lives change, and physically and mentally before me. And then all of a sudden, COVID happened and that stopped and it kind of moved into a different direction. And, at the end of the day, it's just sharing my story is what I'm meant to do. And I don't care if anybody listens. I don't care if I have one Instagram follower or 1 million or 2 million or whatever it ends up being in my life. It's did that one person at one point in their life hear something that I needed to say that could have changed their recovery or changed their life or help them make a decision to change their life. And I know that I've already done that in some ways, but that's all that matters to me. So I think that just talking to you guys is doing what I'm meant to be doing, right? Is sharing my story because I didn't believe it until somebody shared theirs. And now I'm sharing mine for the person that needs to hear it tonight, or needs to hear it tomorrow or whenever they need to hear it because there's people that are struggling every day, every second of every day.
Yeah, and I think a big driving force, I don't know, at least for me, is that I kind of wish I paid attention to kind of like conversations like this when I was younger, but it didn't hit me, or I didn't come across it, or I just didn't care. I was just going with the flow. And I think that is the reason why that, what like I wanted to get into, say, well, I wish I had like someone talk to me in this way when I was like 15, 16, 17, kind of when I was just like figuring things out for my own. And then, and then change my life from there. But no, my path was so different. It wasn't till I was like, 27 when I started being more and more aware of what I wanted to do. And like, I wish we had something to shift those mindsets and to it feels like I didn't care at the time to go even look for that, but I wish I had something to show me like how to care, and I think that was kind of missing out of the area. And after a while, say, well, look, if I don't care for myself, how can I care for anybody else? And I think that's when I started realizing, becoming aware is like, okay, well, I got a family, I gotta take care of them. I have brothers, I gotta take care of them, but I can't take care of them if I don't know how to do it. So it's like, okay, well, how can I take care of them? Okay, well, at the time when I was 21, 22, I was like, well, I just didn't care. I just want to be out, all the time. And that's all that was in my mind, and then the years went by, I'm like, you start realizing, why am I doing this? I'm just wasting my time. But if something would have hit me behind my head and then said, hey, man, like, you're going to be married one day, or you're going to do something later on with your life, instead of, having just going to school and going home and same thing, same routine over and over, instead of pushing the same agenda over and over. So I think these podcasts, that they're so broad that we're hitting every angle that I think whoever's listening or whoever it is, it might hit them in a certain way. So I think that's why it's so important to have these conversations.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think, kids can comprehend more than people give them credit for. I mean, I was comprehending a lot when I was younger, so I understand that, like...
I think I was an idiot then.
No, I get it now. I didn't then. I get it now.
Yeah.
No, and I think a lot of times, like, it's just something that, again, it's not taught. We're not really taught about that. So, like you're saying, like, you wish you had someone come up to you. But the thing is, like, we should have people talking about this. And I mean, like we have people, like, when you're in school, you have people who come and talk to you about, like, different awarenesses and things like that. But no one really is, like, coming in and teaching you about, like, how to see a future, like, when I was in elementary school, I remember, you get asked all the time, like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, I don't even know what exists yet. And then that's when they kind of give you those, well, you can be a policeman, a firefighter, a lawyer, and then they're almost like categorizing and like making it seem like there's all these, then all of a sudden there's these limited options. So it's like, you feel like there's all these options, and then there's limited options, and then you realize there's unlimited options again, and then you don't know which one to choose, because now you realize, like, you can have any of them, but it's like, that's why getting to be more self-aware is the most important thing, because then you find what makes you happy. Like, you're not overloading with materialistic things, like, you again, and just to, like, put it out there, it's like, it doesn't mean you don't buy things. Like, you buy stuff you like, but they don't control you, which means, like, if you have, let's say, even like a comic book collection, but you know what you like, and you read them, maybe you donate them after you're done, you don't let them clutter your, you know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to have things. It just means, like, don't let them define you, or don't become, like, a hoarder about it to where you have such a, like, attachment to these things.
Yeah, so don't make the items bring up your happiness. Do something for those. Yeah, do something, but you can enjoy those items as well.
It's kind of something weird that I've been doing more recently without realizing it. So I'm thinking about what I'm gonna maybe be getting. Like, I haven't really had, like, a real bed in, like, a year, so I'm, like, just buying, like, a pull-out bed soon. And it was more like I got the excitement of kind of, like, knowing that I could have it, because, I've been working, and, like, I knew I was gonna do it. But I just kind of allowed that excitement to just build up to where it's like I could enjoy the moment before it even happened. You know what I mean? So, but I was just paying attention to the feeling. Like even then, I was like, well, it's not even about this. Like, I just enjoy this feeling. I need to keep seeing this up. You know what I mean? And then you start reflecting more on the feeling than, like, the object. And that's what I've been doing. I think just kind of subconsciously, and it's just really nice.
That's true. That is true. It's like you enjoy the process of getting to where you want to be, or what do you want to get, instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna get it," and I really have a feel for it. Because when you get it, you're just gonna be like, "Okay, I just got it. Oh, whatever," and then you keep doing those over and over, and it becomes a bad habit,
I know,
And then
like,
next
getting all this equipment, I'm like researching for weeks, you know what I mean? And
uh,
looking at everything, and then it's in my cart, and then you pull it out, and then you look again, and you research and all this stuff. And then, like you said, by the time you get it, you put all this thought in and all these things, and you have all these feelings, and then you get it, and you're like, okay, this is, oh,
Yeah.
this is great because I've done all this research, and I have it now. And like for me, I used to have nothing, so like the fact, like, like sitting here and being able to Skype with you guys and stuff like that is overwhelming, because I used to not have a computer, and stuff like that. So it's that kind of perspective. And for people out there too that are listening on their phone or whatever, it's you can have anything. The only person that can tell you that you can't is yourself, Back to what we were saying earlier, you know. You can do anything. You're your only limit, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, only you can really control that. Like you, yeah, but I think a lot of times people just, they think they can have something because that's what they're used to being told, or that's what they're used to their, environment kind of showing them. But, it is. It's like once you start, changing those thoughts and those actions, like you said, like you can look back now and see how like all those small little achievements of each little tiny goal over the last 3 years brings you to this moment where you can Skype from your apartment. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like it took 3 years, but it's like it was all worth it. But now you've had that journey, you've had that experience, and you're growing even more from it. And now you get to, have that story to share, to show somebody, look, it is possible, and that's the point.
Yeah, that is a point. And I'm not sitting here and saying that, like, I got clean and it's all been, great. I've gone through
Right.
some serious stuff. I've lost people, throughout the time, and even back in December, January, I was at a real low point, and I was clean, but I felt like I was at day one of recovery mentally, and I remember walking on a bridge and just looking down at one point and just thinking like oh, that would be easy, but here I am, you know, supposed to be strong, but I still have moments where I'm weak, and it's okay. But I was self aware and I knew, and I made the phone calls I needed to make. And it had nothing to do with using, but it had everything to do with me not loving myself at the time or believing in myself and putting myself with those people, like-minded people that help me, and especially through COVID, right? Because if I were locked down and isolated by myself, being a recovering addict, I could be the strongest one. I can't guarantee you that I would have turned out okay through this, But I had myself with people that I love and I care about, and it helped me guide me through this, and that's important too, is being with people that you're close with during this, to tie back into what we started, the isolation. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. I kind of looped it all through, and then I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
No, it all makes sense. I mean, it all makes sense of what kind of thing we want to put out there for ourselves. It just makes sense of what it is. That's what we want. We want the best for each other. We want the better outcome for each other. But you're right. It takes ourselves to just come out there and put that energy and just push through.
That's right. If you wish anybody failure, then you need to rethink yourself. You know what I mean? Because if you can't wish positive thoughts on every human being in this world, then there's something wrong, right? We should be everybody's champion, right? Because one day we're going to need a champion, right? So I'm going to be your champion because one day I need you to be mine, right? And that's, if we just all had that aspect and that viewpoint,
Yeah. No, I think it is. I mean, it's just understanding that it's okay to love one another. I don't understand why it's such a weird concept. Like everyone has to have these reasons why they can't like somebody else, or why they have to have something against another group or this. And it's just like I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like if you really sat and thought about all the things you guys had in common, like you'd realize you all grew up watching the same Nickelodeon cartoons. So it's like just drop it. Like you all grew up watching the same stuff, listening to the same music. Like you're all exactly the same. It's just you allow your environment to tell you that you're any different, like, and I mean, of course that, as you expand globally, that's of course different, but you know what I mean? Like, but just in the sense of like, we all just we all just want to have fun, you know, we all just want to be able to freely enjoy our time here, you know, and it's like, it's just, you just get those moments where you get frustrated because you feel like there's all these, you know, things blocking you. But once, you know, like we were saying, like once you kind of become more self-aware, you realize like they don't actually exist. Like there's nothing stopping you, you know?
Yeah. We can even shorten that. It's just okay, right? It's okay. It's okay. It's not, it's just, it's okay, right? It's okay to love each other. It's okay to not be okay. It's just, life's okay, right? Just keep moving forward and just keep your eyes on the prize, right? And if you just focus on yourself and worry about yourself and keep putting out positive energy, then at the end of the day, things will come your way, right?
Yeah.
Just don't reflect negativity. Don't put down other people. Be champions. Be your hero. It's simple, but it's hard, right? That's life.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. I mean, and all of the stuff we've done before, I always like. I feel like I brought that up where it's like I've been like told by people, you know, like, oh, it's not as easy and this and that. I'm like, I have never said it's easy. Like, it's not an easy process. What I'm saying is, these are the choices that you start to make to get better. But it's not, and it's even to the perspective. I'm aware that it's going to be harder for somebody, you know, else than it could be for me. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna say like the answer's still the same. You know, the answer's still, it's just gonna take you hard, but I can be here for you. You know what I mean? Like if you need something, I can help you. Like you're saying, like you have your people that you can reach out to. You know, you have that, and that's the idea. Is like I'm aware that, you know, with a lot of other stuff, you know, beyond COVID, you know, like Black Lives Matter and everything. Like there is that situation where like people aren't given the confidence to understand like they can do all these things, they can avoid all these issues, they can come out of all of this situations. But it's like there's like you can see where like certain people do get targeted with just like negativity, and that's where like I want to help like get rid of that, like stop just encourage each other, like again, like we're all the same, you know. So
it's just think about that negative thought and always just seeing negative things over and over and over and over until you kind of become numb to it. And next thing you know, your brain is like, I want more of it. I want more of it. I want more of it. And that's all you can see. You can't really get out of it. And that's all you got to follow. You're really just going blindly with, you know, hitting your brain with like, oh, like, you know, your brain's like, oh, this feels good. But inside you're like dying inside, you know, and like you said, you know, once you're there and trapped, it's gonna be a little more difficult for someone to come out, you know. So yeah, we can change. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of things going out there, but like we said, we have to help those people that is going through those harsh thoughts, you know, seeing negative over and over. Say, look, there's gonna be, you know, it's not easy, of course, but if I say something and it's gonna change something inside of you, then why wouldn't I say it, you know? And even not knowing that, because I don't know everything, like, but if something might spark something going on, then awesome. But at least I got you away from that mindset of, all I see is negative. All I see is negative. I'm like, dude, you got me right here, man. Like, there's nowhere you can go. We're right here in this moment talking to ourselves. Where else are we going to be? I mean, what are we else are thinking? Because the mind is so strong that you're going to have all these scenarios over and over and thoughts, what I did yesterday, what I did before, what am I going to be doing in my future? And you can feel within yourself lost, like so bad, even with those thoughts itself. But if you don't have someone say, hey, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine, I'm here with you today, this second, right now, we're gonna get through it. And that's what people can say to kind of depend on each other.
Yeah, well, that's where those small actions come in, right? It's simple, like it's just like that, right? I don't need you to think about what you did 5 minutes ago because we can't change that, right? I don't need you to think about what you're going to do an hour from now because we're not there yet. I need you to think about what you're going to do 30 seconds from now, right? Okay, we just got to that 30 seconds. Let's take it to the next minute. Okay, now we're going to start getting somewhere, right? Now we're going to give you direction. We're going to give you these baby steps, right? And now when we get these bigger goals, right, now you already have that direction and you have that momentum. So it's that same thing on how to get that direction if you don't know how to get it, right? I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to brush my teeth. Okay, great. You know, that's what most people do every day. But if that is something for you that is going to make you feel accomplished and do something, then that's great. And you set that goal every day. and then every day you could start your life on the right track and then just keep going from there, because it doesn't matter what you believe in, you just got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's no negativity, you
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean for sure, because honestly, when you or a lot of the negative situations are created because we feel negative inside. So yeah, I mean, the worse you feel inside, the worse you're gonna treat others, the worse you're gonna feel like you're getting treated by others. Like I said, like working in retail, I've been in those situations where the person just thinks you're just being rude to them and all this and that, and you realize like this person is just so rude that they have no idea that I'm actually trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Like I'm really trying my best to be nice, but they
Yeah.
want to project
Yeah.
that I'm the rude one, and you see that, but you do. The more you become self-aware, though, the easier it is to like push that energy back so you can stay within your own. Because especially if you're someone where you have, let's say, anger issues. You know what I mean? Like that's hard. That's a hard thing to fluctuate. Like being around people who don't have self-awareness as you're trying to gain it. It's like it is. It's all this imbalance even with your own self. So you can get very easily lost in your own head and in your own mind. And like I've been there. I've been that sunken into the couch, just like constantly in my thoughts, all the time. But the more I've grown out of that, the happier I am because I'm not just sitting anymore and not doing anything. I'm actually getting this stuff done. So it is. I mean, it's just a nice, switch the flip.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And that's like we said, it's easier. No, it's not easy, but it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done, and that's it's
I think it's always getting done. I think like even to the idea of if you feel like you're on this, you want to come up, like just start looking around. You're going to attract those people who are coming up just like you are. You know what I mean? So it's like once you want something like that, you'll start attracting it. And then like the better you get, the faster it all happens, and the more exciting it is.
Yeah, and honestly, the work's never done, right? And if you think the work is done, then what, are you dead? You know what I mean? Because you should
Yeah.
always be growing, right? If you're not growing, then what are you doing? That's the point of life, is to learn something new and to grow and to adapt, because life changes every day, right? So if you don't change with life every day, then you're just going to be left behind. And for me, I spent 13 years left behind, so I don't want to be left behind anymore. I want to
Right.
try and be one step ahead, if that's possible.
yeah.
No, and I mean, that's the thing. Like even from your end, like there's definitely people who have recovered and have been huge success stories and all this and that. So it's like you're saying, like anything is possible. You know what I mean? Like who knows where your podcast's gonna take you? You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're on like talk shows promoting a book. You don't know. Yeah. So it's just like you can go anywhere, but at least you're just taking the steps, because even you seem to be aware that it's just about the journey. Like wherever it takes you, that you want to go into that positive future, that loving, caring future. So all you're gonna do is just be self-aware and do the things that you feel are right.
That's right. Life's not about money, life's about wealth, and wealth is love, and
Yeah.
loving other people and loving yourself. And that's all that it is. If I won the lottery, if I won $1 million, I would give 99% of it away. You know what I mean? Because there are people in this world that are hungry. There are people in this world that don't have roofs over their heads, and I've been those people. I've been there with them. And I have a different perspective, because I'm grateful for all the little things, because I've had everything in life and I've had nothing. And it's for those people. I think so often we lose sight of where we are, and we think about where we want to be instead of just being grateful for where we are. Because there's so many people in this world that would kill to be where each and every one of us is right now. And when we think about that, then we start feeling some positivity in our lives, right? Because our lives aren't as bad. Like we said earlier, somebody always has it worse. Well, unfortunately, that's the truth. That's the truth. But it's a different perspective this way. We just need to be grateful.
Yeah.
That's
No, I
it's
mean,
that simple.
And honestly, it's like the more grateful you are for the moment, the faster those things you're looking for come anyway. Because you stop putting the pressure on it. You stop trying to micromanage your goal. There's nothing wrong with setting yourself up with goals. Like having a t-shirt company. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing the same stuff with my art. You're doing the same stuff with your podcast and your cycling. It's like we're still setting these goals, but we're just not. Like, yeah, we want them to happen, but we're not going to live our lives like disappointed if they don't, because we know that we're just gonna have all these crazy experiences. Like, like I meet like crazy, not like crazy. I just meet interesting people like all the time now, and it's just I used to be more quiet and reserved, but now I just have conversations with like anyone, like because I just see everyone much. Like I've always felt. We're all equal and we're all this and that. But like I just didn't know how to express myself. So like once you start to learn how to do that and become confident, like you just open yourself up to this world of possibilities. So it's and then you kind of get to this point too, like where at least I've gotten there where I realize like if I am just grateful for the moment, wherever life ends up taking me is probably going to be better than anything I could have imagined anyway. So
yeah, because it's just coming to the awareness of like, oh man, like I agree with both of you. It's like grateful. I'm right here talking to you guys. I am grateful that I'm talking to you guys and learning a bunch from both of you guys. This is where I'm supposed to be now. There's no other way I have to be anywhere else. This is where I need to be today. The past doesn't matter. Why am I gonna, hold anything back from the past if I'm here right now enjoying the process? I am aware that I am talking to both of you guys. I am aware I'm here in one of my rooms being grateful, talking to you guys. And that is such a great feeling by every day. Oh, well, they didn't go my way this way. Well, I'm still grateful that I'm still alive or something's happening, Like, and that's the thing where you start to be grateful day by day. Then all the things that are going to come are going to be easy to say, well, then easy to let go. You're going to be like, okay, well, I guess I didn't get it today, but I am grateful that I got this done today. Or I got to relax today. I never get to relax, so I'm grateful that I was able to relax today. Those kind of steps is just going to be and those experiences are going to give you the same experiences over and over and over. And that's what, once you get those experiences, you want to tell the people, look, be grateful. This is how I'm grateful. If you can be grateful this way and it works for you, we're going to be happy community. Let's show everybody else how to do it, and then next thing you know, it just goes like a snowballs one after another. It's and the great thing about this, because it's a long conversation, like you, Jay, you said that I'm grateful for the thought of having a podcast because we can have these long conversations and really kind of be able to express ourselves. Nowadays is just let me just text you 2 words emoji. It's like. And you can't fully express yourself, and then you start having a serious conversation over text, Facebook or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah.
They take it over like it's so negative. So that's why I'm so grateful that this kind of way of conversation can happen, because you can fully, okay, well, what did you mean by this? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more and go more into detail so that I can understand you. So like that, I can, okay, well, this is my thoughts on this based on what you guys tell me. And it keeps going, and it's fun. Like, if we don't have to agree on everything, but at least I'm grateful that I'm learning both perspectives from one or the other, and that's kind of like, okay, well, that makes sense. It allows that openness, being more open to things and having that conscious, openness over and over. It allows me to be open to a lot more things, and then I think that's where gratefulness can come and become something so powerful that you just don't allow anything to bother you, and you're just going to keep doing your best day to day. That's how easy I can put it. I mean, really.
Yeah. That's all you can do is wake up every day and try and be the best version of yourself that you can be, right? Yeah. And then as long as you try and do that every day, then, well, you're doing something right, That's what I strive to do, I never thought that I'd be living in California. I never thought that I'd be doing anything, I never thought that I'd ever get clean, but all those things happen, right? So life just brings us where it's supposed to bring us. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just the
and
way
I
that
feel
it is.
like, and I feel like especially with your, where you're at, like you're just gonna keep growing, and you're gonna discover so much more things, and you're just gonna be like mind blown at what you get to do, like because again,
Every
like I said,
day.
yeah,
It isn't me, but once you start being aware, I don't know. It's fun. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, no, it is,
it's even as fucked up as that sounds, it's fun. It's like, okay, all right, well, am I gonna let this be the worst day ever or the best day ever, even if the worst is happening, and you just enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
go with
no,
the flow.
I mean, like honestly, like
Yeah.
it's weird because I feel like we were talking about earlier. Sometimes like the darkness kind of comes back, or you feel like you're getting tested and stuff. Like a few weeks back at work, like I just felt like I was getting real stressed out. I was like, I don't know what I was but I was self-aware. It was like it was weird. It was like I was watching it and feeling it all happen, but I knew that it wasn't real. Like all that stuff, I was like, I knew I was creating it. So then I like had a day where I just like thought it all out. I like, directed my the next day to be like a good day and whatever. And then like it's been a few days now where like it's been so stress free at work. Like I don't know what exactly I did mentally, but like I feel like the workload's still there, everything's still there. It doesn't feel as like at all. Like I don't even like I just go in and I'm done and that's it. And like it's like weird. Like I let go of something that obviously I could realize like I was still holding on to, like I didn't know, but it was brought to the surface because like as you're growing, you still have to fight the stuff that's inside of you. So for me, I think it was just like observing how easily I get addicted to stress and this like I feel like I'm that type of person where I was always in this environment where it's like there's always things that have to get done. There's more to get done. There's more to get done. But I always knew there was never anything to get done. Like I was always like, dude, just stay calm. So I think for me it was like kind of just cool to really put the brakes on that and be like, no, I'm just going back to being like stress free and just enjoying it more the day to day. And then things just get simpler. And then like you said, Angel, it just gets fun.
It's so weird to say that, but someone would hear this like, dude, you're crazy. How is this life fun?
Well, that's like my podcast is called the Pink Cloud Podcast, right? And
Uh-huh.
for people in recovery, the pink cloud is like the high of recovery, right? It's like, oh, I love being clean and I love in recovery, and they say that pink cloud crashes, right? So that pink cloud doesn't have to crash, right? It's all about your perspective and keeping your perspective positive. You can have an awful day, but as long as you keep positive, you can stay on that pink cloud, right?
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about, struggling. You just got to keep that positive perspective and staying on that pink cloud. So it's just like that, right?
Yeah.
It's fun, right?
No,
Oh,
I think that's super important that you're doing that because I think like
Yeah.
just by people having that mindset of that cloud's gonna break, then all you're doing is just setting up.
And the
you're
break.
waiting. You're
So
waiting.
like, and so I love that you're kind of going in that direction of being like, no, like it never has to. I mean, like, why would it have to? You're now that you're in it, just be in control of it. Don't listen to the other people who it did break for. You know what I mean? Just don't be them.
That's right. You picture somebody blowing up a balloon and they're at the helium tank, and you just see that balloon keep going and you're watching them and you're like, when is that thing going to pop? If you think that your cloud's going to break, that's you the whole time with your recovery is just waiting for
Just
that
watch.
balloon to pop and
Yeah.
watching. And it's like, no, don't wait and watch because then you're not living your life, if you're just
Super
if you're just
important, yeah.
working the steps, if you're just not using drugs or alcohol, if you're not growing, then what are you doing?
Right.
Then you're not doing anything. It's about just living your life, and that's what I came to learn, and that's why I'm able to just be where I'm at today, is because I just decided to live my life and not let drugs and alcohol live my life for me. That simple.
That's right. Yeah, that's it's shifting your energy to what you want it to do, really.
Yep,
For you.
that's right. That's right. That's
What do
right.
you want? What do you want from life? Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think that was really good. I think I learned a lot from you guys.
I think it was good too. I feel like, yeah,
It-
it was great.
It's
We feel good vibes, we always free flow. Not really a lot of silence. That's good.
No. I mean, I think that's what it is. It's like just getting to know each other and where we come from. Like, it's Virginia, Philadelphia, California. We're now in California. This is what we went through. And it's like, dude, like, it's, it's amazing how different paths can lead to here. It's like, it's like, I was just thinking about it at work the other day. I was like, I never I never imagined myself being here when I was younger. I was just saying that. I'm like, oh, but it's nice. It's like, wow, it's like,
Yeah.
but the thing is that, like, that's why I feel like learning more about how, like, the mindset and the brain, the body, the connection with the people works, learning it, now I'm like amazed. Like, why and how does that happen? I know there's something beyond there that, we'll probably, if I research it, go into it, understand it, then there's something there. But, like, in a million years, like, we never expect to be in this certain situation where we're at. I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean, becoming self-aware is definitely the first step. And
Yeah.
then, there's more after that. And that's the stuff, like, that's the stuff that I've been researching, is like, I mean, the mind can do so much, and it's like, I feel like you can only talk about so much of what the mind can do before you sound
Right.
crazy. But at the same time, like, the mind can do so much. Like, I've tested it, I've run my own theories on it. I've seen, like, things happen and through my end, through other people's end, and it's like, like, the more self-aware you are, like, the more amazing things become, because you're just seeing it from not even like your own perspective. Like, it's not even like my perspective. I'm just seeing it, how things are, just whatever it is. Not without even judgment, you know what I mean? Just seeing life happening and just knowing that I'm just a part of it.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing, right? Like, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to know that you amaze yourself every day. You know what I mean? Like, that's a cool
Yeah.
feeling to have, and it's for me, it's incredible to feel pride. You know what I mean? Because for so long I hated myself.
Yeah.
And then, to really have a sense of pride. I remember, like, one day during this lockdown, I wrote a note in my phone, and I screenshotted it, and I sent it to my sister, and I said, I don't know why, but I just wrote this. And it was like all the things that I did during the lockdown. And she goes, you're feeling a sense of pride. And I was like, oh, okay. 3.5 years clean, and that's what this feeling really feels like. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
like, I still needed that reassurance. You know what I mean? And that's what's so funny is, like, we can be so proud of ourselves and all these things, but we don't. That we were talking about it earlier with pleasing people, right? We can be so proud of ourselves and love ourselves, but until we get that justification from another human being,
Yeah.
we don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
No.
even though I know that I love myself, I still needed that justification. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, yeah, this is what you're feeling.
No, I
It's
mean,
so fun.
it's crazy. Like, I think the fact that I'm still out in California, and the fact that, like, I'm doing it from my own way, like getting things paid for on my own and doing all that, it's just so different, because, like, I don't think it's what people saw as me. Like, my first few years out here were so not what I wanted them to be, but being out here now in this, like, fourth year of it, I'm like, one, there's been, like, no time. I've barely been out here. It's only been 4 years. You know what I mean? So I'm super happy to still be out here. But then to look around at, like, all the little things that are happening that I'm, like, kind of a part of, is just like I know, like, all the COVID stuff and all the protests are, however they are, but I kind of just, it's cool to be here for it. You know what I mean? I'm like, because I live near a lot of stuff that was happening. So for me, I'm like, it's kind of just cool to be in this, like, moment of history with everybody. Just, like, whatever the energy flow was, the positive, the negative, it was a very interesting time to just, like, sit and just, like, feel it kind of all at once. Because you were just real, like, because I think almost that helped me become so much aware of what energy wasn't even mine. Because it was, like, so much of it going on that when you get to your own peace and balance while it's all happening, you're just like, oh, this is how I really feel. And I just feel happy. That's great. Like, Like, yes, I want change and I want things to get better, but personally, I know like I'm in a good place. You know what I mean? And that helps. That helps you. You know, that helps you to even encourage other people to keep doing their thing as well. All right. That was definitely a really good conversation with Boomer. It was really interesting to hear his story. It's cool to also see how he's like branching away from the 12-step program just a little bit to kind of like fit in what he felt like helped work for him, which will hopefully work for some others and stuff too. So it was great, definitely great having him on.
Yeah, definitely. And then hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe and see you guys on the next one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.